The experts and analysts are looking at everything right now are encouraging a false stimulus check being distributed to the low income simply because they are looking at the inflation situation and everything going on. The only way out of this short term is to get money into the pockets of the low income, because we all recognize that it is the low income who are really feeling the pinch from all of this inflation and everything going on. However, let me talk you through some of the concerns about sending out a stimulus check. They do send out a false stimulus check. They are looking at the income qualifications. In other words, it could be $75,000 like they did the last one. It could be $50,000 or $40,000 or maybe $20,000. So they are basically looking at what could be the perfect point at which they could send out a stimulus check to highly focus on the most vulnerable and high-risk people out there who need this money the most out of all Americans. But essentially, they will all come to the consensus that $75,000 is too high. It needs to be significantly lower than $30,000. Maybe $40,000 at the most is what they are considering. They are all saying $75,000 as an individual and $1,050 as a married couple is way too high. These people do not need checks. It is the lower income people also want to look at the labor impacts of actually sending on another stimulus check. Some people are saying, well, the stimulus check have led to this mass resignation that where a lot of people are quitting their jobs because of all of these stimulus checks and things like this. On the other hand, a lot of people are saying no, that's actually not causing the great resignation because it's causing a lot of people to quit their jobs and leave. Another factor that they are looking at right now is how much could be sending out another stimulus checks actually impact the labor participant rate and how many people could actually maybe quit their jobs. There are a lot of businesses that are opening a lot of jobs and people are kind of looking for people right now, and there are just not enough workers for all the positions that are open. So that is another very key piece of information that they are looking at as well. Now, a couple of the pieces that they are looking at right now to base of all of this up and to determine the actual impact and how important another stimulus check is. They go back to the $1,400 check that we received about a year ago. One check alone lifted 11.7 million people out of poverty just in the last year alone. So they are saying, how can you really deny this 11.7 million person lifted out of poverty in 1 year alone? Simply because of a tiny $1,400 stimulus check. This impacted nearly 12 million people in a very big way of essentially going from living in poverty to being lifted above the poverty line. More people are falling into poverty because of all this massive inflation, which is literally sitting about 8%. It's probably going to much higher here over the coming months. The vast majority of households that have less than $500 in savings spend their stimulus check within the first 10 days of receiving it. 10 days seem like a pretty generous timeline. As well as kind of taking a holding number, looking at anybody who maybe has under $500 in savings. But essentially, they are saying, hey, anybody who had under $500 in bank accounts in savings spent their checks roughly within 10 days. So again, they probably had some kind of timeline within the surveys that were sent out basically saying, did you spend your check within 1 to 10 days, within 10 to 20 days? And the vast majority of people probably clicked the boxing between 1 and 10 days, or that money was gone. On the other hand, they are saying that this may actually lead to additional inflation. However, they are also saying at the same time that this additional inflation that may be caused by stimulus checks could be minor and probably relatively short-lived due to the Federal Reserve stepping and possibly being a little bit more aggressive with their rate hiking. Going forward through the rest of this year, therefore, potentially subduing a little bit more of this increased inflation due to the extra checks that could go out. If the check is available for 10 million people, the inflationary impacts could be much less than if the check were available for 100 million people who kind of get what I'm saying. They are trying to thread the needle on the things as far as what the income threshold would be, who could be eligible for this thing, how much should the check be, and then could it be like a one-time check or ongoing on things like this. Now, another factor that they are also looking at as well is what would be the best solution here. A short-term fix for a long-term problem, or a short-term fix is a one-time check to kind of have everybody out for the short term, or would it be better to work on a long-term solution? Now, again, that's kind of up in the air right now. There is demand to come up with a long-term solution at the end of the day, where maybe we could get something ongoing for a long period of time. It's totally different based on everybody's situation. For one person, it may be, hey, I need a big amount of cash right here in the form of stimulus checks, $2,000, $1,400, something like that. Or maybe the next person says, I don't really need a big lump sum payment right now, but rather ongoing payments of a couple $100 each and every month for the long game. The long-term solution could be a much better solution for me and my situation. We are seeing coming out of Congress and everything that we are seeing on the state levels as well. Vouchers, we've got tax rebates, tax credits, voter cards, and stimulus checks. Seriously, there are so many different things that are being introduced on the state level as well as in Congress. We've seen a proposals or something like that talk about in Congress. We've even seen other proposals coming out talking about a $300 voucher monthly basis. We saw the proposal that we talked about just the other day. $100 per month per person in the household. We've seen all kinds of different things, even a one-time $1,100 stimulus check, among so many other proposals that we've seen coming out of Congress as well. But the simple fact that they continue talking about this, coming up with new ideas, new proposals, new concepts, and new ways that they can get money out into the pockets of the people, because it's only a matter of time if they keep coming to work with this idea. It is a matter of time until they actually do something for the low income. So here's a few key takeaways out of this number. One could be these reports here that I'm talking about in this video, they are specifically talking about the low income. If there happens to be a full stimulus check, it's going to be hardly focused on the low income. I can almost guarantee you that one right now, simply because we already know from the report after report that a broad stimulus check for millions of people, hundreds of millions of people is just not feasible. It is not needed, and that's going to lead to massive inflation. However, a focused stimulus check will, number one, probably have minimal inflationary impacts, as well as helping out the low income in a very good way.